please follow or subscribe DIY Nails by Wood. Here I'm going to show you 3 different ombre methods that I personally used, and I'm going to be using white to black. It was my ombre test, so you can see the gradient really well because they're such high contrasting colors. Now each of these swatches before starting the ombre, they have 3 dips with regular dip liquids, activated and buffed. Now this first method I'm going to be using is the regular bounce method, where you apply a gel base coat. Now it has to be a gel base coat, it's really important, and I'm going to enter cure for about 3 to 5 seconds so that that gel base coat stays tacky and sticky and it holds on to that darker color. Now I'm also using this really dense, thick, fluffy eyeshadow brush to press the brush against the swatch where that transition line is, while also kind of pulling downward a little bit. I want to avoid that white area because I don't want to get a bunch of those black specks in there. I cure for about 30 seconds after that so that it stays on there before applying more base gel and repeating these steps so that I don't wipe so much off. Now, it might be hard to see, but I'm wiping off that big brush before I go back to that transition line, so I'm not just putting more black up there. And I also use a little tiny brush to kind of wipe away right here, the white area, because that has nothing on it, so it's going to kind of wipe away that white area and keep it clean. And then I just keep repeating these steps until I get the color saturation that I want. The ombre is going to look a little rough at first, but as you continue to do it, it's going to blend more, it's going to fade more. You just have to keep working on it. And I'll also put a link at the end in the description of the video of everything that I used here. The second method is alternating tap. Now I'm just using regular dip powder dipping liquids. Now I'm holding the swatch to the sky so that as I apply the black powder, you see where I'm holding my brush in orientation with the swatch. It helps it kind of fade as those black particles drop down. Now when I do the white, I point the swatch downward so it does that with the white. And then alternating tap, so you start with black and then do white, and then when you do the next one you start with white and then do the black, ergo alternating tap, and they both kind of correlate over each other, causing it to fade really well. It's just very time consuming because you have to do this over and over and over. Also, having the base color, the 3 regular dips of white, it helps. So like even if you use other colors, you kind of want to use that lighter color as a base to start with. See, it faded really well. All right, last but not least, this one was an accident. I had done the bounce method and noticed that the white area was pretty contaminated with those black particles. So at the end, after doing all this bouncing, I tried to figure out what I could do to get it more blended, more clean. And at the end of this, I applied the gel like I normally would, but instead of bouncing, I started doing the tap method with both black and white. And you'll see that here in a minute in the video. Now this is just the normal bounce method that I already showed you. We haven't gotten to the tapping part yet. Now here I'm going to kind of turn the brush a little bit so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Here I'm applying more gel and then starting the tapping method. And you can absolutely use gel and dip powder. You know, and it's really all about preference. Like, obviously the farther you hold the brush, the more it's going to fade, the more the particles are going to separate as they come down. Here's the final product. I think my favorite was doing the bounce method and at the very, very end, cleaning it up with a little bit of an alternating tap. Obviously, bounce method would work just as fine. If you used colors that weren't so high in contrast, you would not be able to see this much, which is why I use these colors in the first place, so you can see how well each of these methods work. Here's the final product close-up picture. From left to right, bounce method, alternating tap, and bounce with tap at the end.